I decided to retire, I wanted to travel for a while, not just the 1 week trip or 2 week trips. So I spent 3.5 months with my wife traveling around the Philippines. And there's a lot of amazing places. Some are popular, some are less known. I want to do this in series here. Yeah, we had a budget, and sometimes we went over it, but we didn't spend a ton of money. It was a nice trip anyway. This is a John's Travel Adventures production. We started out in Cebu at the Quest Hotel for a couple of nights. Then we went to Balamban, where my wife's from, and visited family. Then the night before we went to bed, we up late. I made reservations at a place at Pinglao. And then we got up early. We took the van across Cebu, took the boat, and we arrived on Bohol and went to Pinglao Beach. When they let us off there, they said, "Didn't you get our message? Our reservation, there was no room at the place." We called Agoda, and they put us up at a little more expensive place for a couple nights, and then we had to find our own place. This is where we first stayed a couple nights. It was a nice place, a short walk to the water. But I walked along the beach, and someone said, "Oh, you should try Lost Horizon. They have some good priced rooms." Well, the good priced rooms were nice, but they didn't really have a view of anything. So we paid a little more over our budget and got a really nice room with a great view of everything. We visited other places along the beach, like Hanan Resort, and we saw Santa Claus there. There are great sunsets from the Lost Horizon from our balcony there. We really enjoyed that a lot. There's a lot of pictures here. This was taken 6 years ago. Our new standards are higher, but I wanted to share these photos because I know the Philippines has been shut for tourism for a couple of years. The fire dancers came by our place. They were certainly fun to watch. We took a tour around much of the island, and this is the Chocolate Hills in Bohol. These are the tarchers. They're very cute but very shy, so they're sort of hard to see very well. This is the Hanging Bridge. I still have a t-shirt I bought on that trip. This is one of the floating restaurants on the Lobuk River. There's live entertainment and good food. We stopped at a snake zoo. They had various snakes of various sizes. And we made a stop at the Eat Me restaurant. And we took a boat ride out to do some snorkeling. Incredible amount of fish in a nature preserve. And these pictures are from the Lost Horizon eating area, dining area. We saw a new, very fancy hotel that had just opened, and we thought we'd go and check it out. It was way beyond our price range. Rooms are at least a couple $100 a night, and some are a lot more. There's enormous swimming pools and canals around. The place is beautifully done. they were very friendly. They showed us around. We did take some time to eat there. We could afford that. And of course, they're right on the water. It was part of the B resorts. You could swim to your room if you wanted to. The food was excellent. After a few days there, we took a van north to Hugna, and that's the place you take the boat to go to Camiguin Islands. We had to wait a couple nights. They don't run the boats every night. Now these are places there, and this is where we were inside the Garden Hotel and restaurant. And then we took the boat over to go to Camiguin Islands. The Lonely Planet book compares it to the Big Island of Hawaii. And this is our little unit we stayed at right by the water. Beautiful green place, outdoor stuff, and beautiful sunsets. It's a pretty little island. It's supposedly very safe. People don't lock things up there. But once a week they have a flight, 7 a.m. from there to Cebu. People live there that like to be on the quiet off the main path. Property's pretty affordable there also. We stayed at the Agohai Villa Forte Beach Resort. A nice little place there. I hear they actually have something for sale there now. Then we rented a motorbike and started traveling around the island. On the other side of the island, we went up the hill following the Stations of the Cross. There was a good view from there also. Soon we will be returning to the Philippines and taking photos of higher quality, and which we can share. This was a nice big cold spring swimming area. We had lunch above the big pond swimming area, so we got a view of it all. This is a different area on the island, and this is a big hot springs. You can go in different pools, and they're different temperatures. Very nice, very relaxing. White Island is a very popular place to go just off the shore of Camiguin. There are many boats that will take you there. Most of the beaches in Camiguin are black sand. These are more of white sand. There is some snorkeling there. Of course, plenty of sunshine. This is a Thai restaurant that some foreigners open. It's quite good. You have to walk across a rice paddy to get there, but it seemed like a pretty popular place. We're back at the Agohai Resort. Nice place. And we checked out some different resorts. There's a lot of beautiful places there. Then after returning to the island of Cebu, we headed a couple hours south to Malabo. Beautiful, wonderful place. It's a Quay Dive Resort. One of our favorite places. We stayed at a few places there. Great snorkeling, amazing number of fish. We stopped by the Asian and Belgium Dive Resort closer to the White Beach also to get a variety of different places there. Back to the Quay Dive Resort. They take scuba divers out to that island there, and I went there and just snorkeled. I've been the only snorkeler. Since the boat's there, they welcome you. Now we are back in Balamban on the other side of Cebu. Every year there's a competition with all the communities with Christmas decorations and making a Christmas tree. This is what was then the recently opened SM Seaside Mall. Great view of the ocean, a nice rooftop garden, and many stores, but they weren't filled up at that time. Things have changed in the past few years. This is an Oslob, people waiting to go out and see the whale sharks. It's in the morning, but they're already lined up. After seeing the whale sharks, we went over to see Guinness Falls.
Hi. Oh. Hi. Oh, we're guys.
This is where we stayed near Oslob. Nice simple place, right on the water, very affordable. And now we are in Dumaguete. Visiting friends. We took the long walk down to Cacerolo Falls to see the falls. Somewhere there was some water we had to cross that would have really got things wet in our pockets and stuff and slippery. So we didn't get all the way to the end of the falls, but it was still a beautiful hike and a lot of fun. We liked it so much there, we thought of moving there and building a place, and someone told us they knew some land for sale, so we went and looked at it. It was a couple acres, it was pretty flat, it had nice trees around, it was very tempting. In fact, we probably would have went ahead and got it, except the price changed after we looked at it and liked it. There's a bunch, about 14 owners, and one of them no one had seen in a bunch of years. So we sort of backed off at the last minute. I'm not sure we really wanted to live there. It was almost in Valencia. It was definitely above Dumaguete, but still a little bit of a drive to the ocean. Here's the nearest beach to that piece of land, and there's little resorts around there. Some of them you pay to use the facilities, but you get some of the money back towards food credit. Then we took a couple of bus rides, and eventually we headed towards Sugar Beach, a very beautiful place with great sunsets. At first, someone said, oh, they knew where to go, so they took our stuff on a long tricycle ride. Then we took a boat ride over to it, but there would have been a more direct thing if we just took a boat ride. But we stayed at the Big Bamboo Beach Resort. Wonderful place, I think owned and operated by women. And the thing about Sugar Beach is you can't drive there. You have to take a boat or something because there's a river between you have to cross to get there. So that keeps it very quiet and peaceful. There are just a few small resorts there. Different ones seem to attract different European groups. And the beach is all soft sand. You can walk out a ways as far as you can, and there's no rocks or shells or coral to scrub against. It's all very soft sand, nice warm water. Eventually you get to the end of the beach, but with great sand there's not as much snorkeling because snorkels, the fish like a lot of coral. But there is somebody there that takes out snorkelers or scuba divers and teaches scuba diving, and he'll take you out to beautiful places where there are beaches and probably no roads and open around. Then we booked a couple nights at the Cuckoo's Nest, which is out past Tampico Bay. There was the bus dropped us off way up the road, and we got a ride on a motorcycle all the way down to the entrance. And there's a lot of steps to come down there, but it's a very private place. I think there's only like 6 units there. The British couple, they've been there 8 years when we were there, so that's probably 14 years now. He teaches diving and scuba diving and stuff, and she handles the food, and she knows where to get good organic food, and their food's amazing and great. Got your own private beach. There's no other resorts anywhere around, and you have your own little building. The snorkeling is great, and they have a couple kayaks you can borrow. Um, yeah, it's sort of a great place. It's like really expensive places, only it's very affordable. Visiting friends again. We returned to Cebu to see the snow globe. Since hotels generally raise the rates 2 or 3 times during the big festival, we rented a place through Airbnb because the price seemed pretty fixed, and it didn't change on us. Some activities at the Ayala Mall before the main festival started. Now we're watching part of the festival. It seems to go on forever. There's a lot of people there. They come from all the islands. They say hotels get expensive, and pickpockets come from all the islands also. So you have to be careful to watch your stuff and don't bring valuables with you. Do be prepared to walk though, because you're not going to find a taxi in a crowd like this. Then we headed to Pavilon. We spent a bunch of days just in Puerto Princesa hanging out and checking out the place, but then we started going towards El Nido, and we wanted to see the underground river. We took the day trip there, and after a rest break or stop, we were heading there. They said, "Well, the waves are too big for the boats to take us over there." But we walked through the jungle up around the hills and around with other people, and we got there and we got the boat ride. It's so dark in there you couldn't really take any pictures, but it's a beautiful little place. Here we are in El Nido. It's a long ride from Puerto Princesa to El Nido, but it's a really beautiful place. It's an incredible place. Um, there's boat tours A, B, C, and D. We did A and B, um, and we checked out. There's other beaches in the area there. After checking out one beach and one island, we got back on the boat and went to another place. Some places the water is just incredibly clear. Great place for swimming and snorkeling. And they're private little coves. Just over the hill from where we stayed in El Nido is Las Cabanas, a beautiful, nice, long beach. There's a little bit of food stall this inside here. And there's a zip line that goes out to that island out there. There are sunny and shady places to hang out out there. Then it was time for boat tour B. That monkey was making an attempt on our lunch. Later we took a day trip up to Nakpan Beach. It just goes on forever and ever. It's a beautiful beach, long sandy place. I hear some big money's going to come in and build a fancy resort there at some point. I don't know if that's happened or not. Time will tell. On our way back from El Nido, we stopped at Port Barton. It's usually described as a quiet little place. The time seems to have passed by. Um, there are kind of jellyfish in the water, so I didn't want to do a lot of swimming. So we took a walk up to a waterfall, as we heard about. We had a local guide to give them some work for the day, and we went up there. It was a lot of fun. After getting back to Puerto Princesa, we took a little trip up to another side of the island to get views of other things going on there. Here's a butterfly sanctuary. There were native crafts exhibits with real life snakes and everything. Some of the kids in the exhibit were basically from the tribes, and they just come in town to do this. Then we went to the alligator farm. I believe this is called the bear cat. Then we went to the Camotes Islands that are pretty close to Cebu, actually. Not a very long boat ride. A very gentle, slightly sloping beach with pure sand. Then we took a motorbike trip around the island to see other sides of it. Some friends of ours wanted to show us some land that was off the beaten track. This is a resort that's sort of off the main road, but then we went off the main road to a quieter place that had little waterfalls and rice fields and everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's not up to our quality, but it's a beautiful place. We wanted to share this with you.